I didn't expect their number to show up on my phone that morning. 2 years of silence, and yet the moment I saw Mom and Dad, something old and acidic rose in my throat. I let it ring out. They called again, so I answered. Mom's voice was bright, too bright. "We're coming to visit you this weekend, and we're bringing a surprise." A surprise. Funny how people who spent decades criticizing every breath I took suddenly believed they were welcome to appear uninvited? I kept my voice calm, level, the way I learned to speak after clawing my way out of their house. "You can keep the surprise," I said. "I moved states 2 years ago, and I never want to meet either of you again." Silence. A stunned, offended silence, like I was the one who had ever crossed a line. But the line was drawn years ago. I used to think parents were supposed to be your first home. Mine were my first battlefield. They critiqued everything, the way I laughed, walked, dreamed. If I got an A, I should have gotten an A+. If I did my best, it wasn't enough. If I wanted rest, I was lazy. If I wanted love, I was needy. But I still tried. God, I tried. I believed, like any kid does, that if I worked hard enough, they would turn into something soft. I clung to the idea that someday they'd see me. The real betrayal wasn't one moment, it was the pattern. The way they bragged about me to relatives while tearing me apart at home. The way they played the sympathetic victims when I finally set boundaries. The way they told everyone I'd become ungrateful instead of admitting they pushed me out. But the final blow came the day I overheard them talking about me, not as a child, not even as a person, but as a failed investment. "Maybe if they come crawling back," Dad said, "we'll think about helping." Mom laughed. "They always crawl back." That was the day something inside me went quiet. Not broken, just done. I stopped arguing, stopped hoping, stopped explaining myself to people who never listened. Instead, I planned. I saved every paycheck, moved in silence, filed all the paperwork they never thought I could handle, found a job 3 states away, signed a lease under their radar, packed at midnight. And the morning they woke up expecting me to make coffee and take their criticism, my room was empty. I didn't leave a note. Only my house key on the counter. Silent, final. They tried calling at first. I ignored them. They sent guilt-laced messages. Blocked. They reached out to coworkers, old friends. No one knew anything because I had erased the trail. A year later, they emailed me asking for my new address in case of emergencies. I sent a single sentence. No. Their emergencies were not my responsibility. Their chaos was no longer my inheritance. For the first time in my life, I could breathe. So when they called this morning pretending everything was normal, acting like they had some cute surprise for the child they once belittled, I felt something I never expected. Not fear, not anger, just clarity. Mom's voice cracked when I told her I never wanted to meet them again. Dad jumped in, voice sharp. "We're your parents. You don't get to talk to us like." "I do," I cut in. "I always did. You just never listened." They tried to guilt trip me, threaten me, play wounded. But I wasn't 13 anymore. I wasn't cornered in that house. I wasn't surviving them. I had outgrown them. And nothing terrifies controlling people more than losing control. When they realized they had no leverage left, no address to show up at, no way to force their way back into my life, that was the real surprise. Not the one they planned, the one I delivered. After I hung up, I sat by my apartment window, watching the morning light spill across a city they'll never know I live in. I expected guilt, regret, some trembling sense of loss. But all I felt was release, like the final thread tying me to a life that never fit had snapped clean. Some people call it running away. I call it reclaiming myself. And if there's one lesson I carried from that house to this new life, it's this. Family isn't defined by blood. Sometimes it's defined by who you finally choose to cut off. They wanted to bring me a surprise. I already gave them mine.